Thank you, Jake. Time for a look at today's top stories. Fire crews in California working to gain ground on a wind-driven wildfire that scorched thousands of acres. The flames erupted over the weekend, forcing more than 100,000 people to flee from their homes. As of this morning, that fire is about 50% contained.
The trial against Hunter Biden on federal gun charges set to begin today. The president's son accused of falsifying a federal firearms form and illegal possession of a firearm while using a narcotic. He also faces federal tax charges in California. He's expected to face a separate trial on that in September.
And K-State baseball is headed to the NCAA regionals for the first time since 2013. The Wildcats defeated Southeast Missouri last night in the Fayetteville Regional. Up next, the Batcats head to Charlottesville, where they will take on Virginia later this week. We'll find out tomorrow when the three-game series will begin. The winner of that series advances to the College World Series in Omaha.